Good evening, everyone. I, Nishtha, on behalf of Next Gen Scientist Foundation, welcome you all to this session. Next Gen Scientist Foundation is a non-profit organization which offers an opportunity to fund internships for undergraduate and postgraduate students who wish to gain research experience in life sciences and also host programs to promote science communication amongst researchers. This is an informative session on research in Germany to address any queries you might have with respect to studying abroad and why Germany can be a potential option for you to consider as a life sciences student. Today's session is meant to be a two-way conversation and not a monologue. While I would be posing some common questions for our panelists to answer, I would like to emphasize that our audience can directly speak to the panelists and clear any questions or doubts they may have. For this, click on the mic button that will send a request to speak, and once you're added as a speaker, you can directly ask your question to the panelists. Without further ado, I would now request our panelists to introduce themselves, including their area of study, research interests, and institute they are currently at. We could start with Ms. Rose, followed by Mr. Mahesh. Over to you.
Okay. Hi, Nishtha. Thanks for co-hosting this session. Um, I'm Mahesh. I'm basically from Kerala in India. So I did my undergrad study in pharmacy and then did my master's degree from a National Institute of Pharmacy in Kolkata. And there I specialized in the area of medicinal chemistry. So basically, if you are not familiar with the area of medicinal chemistry, it's mostly um, doing drug synthesis, I would say. I'm not making drugs, I'm making compounds that could potentially be drugs. So that after my master's, I had a small stint in Hyper Hyderabad. There I worked on some process development chemistry for a anti-tubercular drug. Then I traveled to Germany in Dortmund. So I gave my interviews and got selected for a PhD in Max Planck Institute of Molecular Physiology in Dortmund, Germany. And I started my PhD in 2018 and it lasted till 2021. So 3.5 years of my PhD. And after my PhD in the area of organic and medicinal chemistry, it was a combined research. So some part of the research was dedicated to development of drugs and some part for the development of some processes for making those drug candidates. And after my PhD defense, I applied for a postdoc position in the UK. And currently I am working as a postdoctoral researcher in the University of Nottingham School of Pharmacy, which is also quite well ranked university in pharmacy. If you are familiar with QS ranking, it's within top 10 globally. So here I am working on some projects funded by Medical Research Council UK, and yeah, it's been about 2 years now, and I will be here for another 2 more years in the same university. That's all from me for now. Um, yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I would like to request Ms. Rose to introduce herself.
Hello, everyone. I'm Rosemary Paul from Kerala, India. So I did my bachelor's in agriculture from Kerala Agriculture University, and then I got my master's. I did my master's in agrigenomics from Christian Albrechts University, Kiel, Germany. And after my master's, now I'm doing my PhD in Justus Liebig University, Gießen, also in Germany.
Thank you so much for your introduction. I would like to repeat for our participants that in order to ask your questions directly to the panelists, please use the mic button, which will send a request for you to speak. And once you are enabled, you can directly ask your question. Now we'll begin with the questions, which are divided into 4 sections. Participants are requested to ask their questions at the end of each section. So the first section is about why choose Germany. So my first question to both our panelists is, why did you choose to study abroad for your higher studies, especially Germany? Anyone of you who would like to answer?
Rose, you can go first.
Thank you. I choose, firstly, I chose abroad because I find more opportunities and work life conditions outside. That's why that was my prime motive to choose outside India. And then why Germany? Because there are many reasons. Firstly, I started my life in Germany studying for a master's. So the main attraction is that Germany has a very good world ranking number of universities in agriculture. And another thing is that Germany, if we want to study in Germany in a public university, we need not pay tuition fees. So that was two main attractions. And we could also work as a part-time. We can work up to 20 hours per week. So like we can be independent, and it's also not very expensive in comparison to many other countries. So that's why I chose Germany. And also in my experience, I think it is worth it.
Okay. As Rose, I didn't do my master's in Germany. I did my PhD. So I did my master's in India itself, as I told before. And during my master's, I had this plan to do my PhD abroad, but not particularly in Germany, Europe, or anywhere. I had no specific countries in mind. I just wanted to do my PhD outside India. Main motivation for that was my PhD master supervisor at that time. He did a postdoctoral studies in USA. So initially, I planned to give my GRE exams and TOEFL exams, and in addition to my master project, which eventually resulted in a small publication as well. So I attended coaching classes for GRE TOEFL, but the issue was that I couldn't find the right balance between that exam preparations and doing my master thesis project work. So I couldn't dedicate much time for GREs or TOEFL, and I was not confident enough to give that exam without much preparation, because they're expensive as well to write those exams. So I thought, okay, Europe, since I have 1 year of research experience, proper research experience in a CSIR lab, Europe is a option for me, because here the PhD studies are shorter in duration compared to the US ones, where it's like at least 5 years, around 5 to 6 years, I think. So, but if you have some experience before entering your PhD from India itself, Europe is a good option for your PhD, because here the duration of the PhD studies are mostly 3 or 4 years. Um, so, okay, I did apply for some positions in Germany as well as France, and in Spain as well. But this Max Planck Institute one was the one I got my interview call, first interview call, and the process was a bit tedious. You had to apply based on your personal information and statement of purpose and motivation letters and all these things, including references from your faculties in your past institutions. And once you got invitation for an interview, I also had to travel to Germany. So that time, COVID was not there. So in-person interviews were most common in Max Planck institutes, and they invited me for an interview in Germany. But the expenses that I had to spend for the interview, they were all refunded after when I went back to India after my interview. It didn't depend on whether I qualified or not. They reimbursed all the expenses, whether you are selected or not, for everyone. So yeah, so basically that was my motivation: shorter duration and less preparation, as in the sense you don't have to write GRE exams or TOEFL, IELTS. Sometimes having IELTS or TOEFL score is a good CV booster for you to be shortlisted for the application. But if you have a publication in your master's or a good research project in your master's, these are not always necessary because, as you know, Germany, they don't speak English as their first language. So English test might be or might not be necessary depending on the institutions that you apply for your PhD. And another benefit traveling to Germany for a PhD is that you will get money, good money as your fellowship amount compared to India. The difference is very high. And after PhD as well, you have some kind of security that you will not be, even though you are jobless for an year or so, you will get some kind of social security money during your job hunting period. So there are a lot of positives compared to doing your PhD in Germany vs doing it in India or in even it's better than many other countries, including Canada, Australia, because you got the security option, like a security money, job security money option after your graduation. Yeah, that's it. If you have any other particular questions, I'm okay to answer those as well.
Does anybody in the audience have any questions? You may please send your request to speak and you can directly ask your questions. Okay. Moving on, a quick follow up question for Miss Rose. Since you mentioned that you've done your masters in Germany as well, were there any advantages of doing masters in Germany, especially for looking for PhD positions forward?
Of course, like for me, the journey in total, like taking from my bachelor's to PhD, I would say like when I was trying to apply for masters in Germany, it was quite hard. I had applied for more than 300 applications, including emails, to all over the world in order to get an admission. After doing masters in Germany, it was quite easy to get a PhD position in Germany itself. I was offered two PhD positions from the faculty where I was working, like from one from Kiel, where I was a master student, and one from JKI, Julius Kuhn Institute, Berlin, where I was working as a master thesis student. So, if you are doing your masters in Germany, it is much easier to get a PhD position than in comparison with doing from India. Another thing I would like to add is that I was a person who thought that after doing masters I will move to any other country. But after like living here for 2 years, I really like Germany. I really like the culture and the work-life balance here. Most of the government and our supervisors are so friendly, and they give us enough time to think and to work in peace. So that's what I was holding on to stay back in Germany. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. So my next question to both of you is, what are the key strengths of Germany's research infrastructure compared to other leading research countries like US, UK?
If you're okay, I will go first.
Sure,
Yeah,
sir.
sure.
Okay, yeah. Since we are comparing UK, Germany, US, or any developed countries, um, I would say that's not dramatically different. Um, but still, maybe Germany and US is more comparable because they got similar funding opportunities, infrastructure, and everything which is needed for doing good quality research. Um, but as Rose previously mentioned, work-life balance is a big thing in Germany. So if you are doing a PhD in US, it's going to take a lot of energy. It's going to drain you in comparison to doing a PhD in Germany. The European countries in general offer good work-life balance, so you can have peaceful life for your 3 or 4 years of your PhD compared to other countries. Other than that, Germany has got really good research organizations. So when I say research organization, this could be Max Planck Society or Helmholtz Centrums or Leibniz organizations. All these organizations, they have enough money that, and they have like a number of institutes across the country which is doing good quality research. So um, the money that they can offer you is not limited. So compared to many other countries, sometimes it's like, oh, we don't have that machine, or we cannot do that thing because that assay is very expensive, or that kind of limitations will not be applicable if you are doing your PhD in for say Max Planck Institute. So in addition to research fundings, you will also get support in order to develop your other area of other skills and areas like presentation skills or communication skills, anything you want, or if you want to travel for an international conference. I'm not kidding, I had like 5,000 euros for my 3 years of PhD so that I can go and go to any countries for any big conference and present my work as a poster or an oral presentation. So there was really good support system which is needed for you to be successful. That's provided mostly through these organizations like Max Planck, Leibniz, and even DART fellowships are also good options. So the funding options are not limited. You got good money and good funding for doing good quality research, which will eventually help you get a good position after your PhD as well.
I would like to add a point. In Germany, the PhD is like just like an employment. We do not need to do any courses or something like that. It's just like 24 into 7. We are doing research. We are learning by doing. So I think that is an like added advantage, which prepares us for the future, be it industry or academia. So it really helps rather than doing the courses. So the curriculum of PhD in Germany, it's like more on the practical based rather than it's on the theory and exams. So yeah.
Thank you so much. My next question to both of you is, how did you select the universities that you applied to, and what were your grounds of comparison?
Mahesh, can I proceed?
Yeah. Go on.
In my case, so as I told earlier, I did my master's in Germany. So during my master's program, I had attended a few conferences based on my master thesis work, and then I had interacted with a few groups, a few professors and their groups, and then I came to know and interact with their projects and topics they are dealing with. And in my experience, I know in which field I wanted to go in. So on that basis, I filtered the PhD positions which were available on the website of different universities, and also like I personally emailed the professors with whom I wanted to work with. And then out of a few positive responses I got, I selected the one which I really want to join. That's my case.
Yeah, even in my case, it's quite similar. So you need to have an idea about which area you want to pursue your research career in. Even though you don't have like a clear, concise plan about which particular specific area, you can have a general research area in mind. Then try to figure out where the positions are available, or who are the professors that doing similar kinds of work. So I would say the websites of most universities or individual research groups are very well organized um, for most of the German research groups. So and many times they will even mention in their website that if you are interested to a PhD or postdoc, please write in this email. So you can use that option. Or in my time, there was a database called the DART PhD database. So that had two databases. I don't know if it changed or not yet, but that had two databases. One for DART is like DAAD. That's the German research, one of the German research organization and funding organization. So they had two databases, one for fellowship and one for PhD positions. So when I went to the that PhD database, then shortlisted my um, available options based on the subject area that I want to work in. So it could be life sciences, mathematics, physical sciences. You can shortlist on based on that. Or if you have like a particular city in mind, you can even filter that accordingly. But I would say it's not a good idea to restrict yourself to a particular region or a very specific field. It's better if you have a general field in your mind, or general you're open to travel to any country or any location. It's not always possible, but if that's possible, that will help you with your applications. Then I'm saying that because you cannot always choose. I mean, sometimes you have to be a bit lucky as well, like being in the right place at the right time is a big thing um, during your PhD applications as well. You can have a good CV, good application materials, everything, but you need to also have some kind of luck. Um, yeah, so that's it. I think we both covered most of the points, but if you have other questions, please feel free to ask.
Yeah, we have a request from Nitesh. Can we add him as a speaker? Nitesh, you can ask your question directly since you raised your hand.
Uh, sir, I have just one question. So recently, I have applied for a few PhD positions in Europe, but from some places my application has been rejected. So, what are the factors that affect your application? I mean, how can like, what would be the factors that will help me in for selecting my application?
Um, and Nidesh, I think that's a question that most of the PhD applicants have in mind, like what kind of um, how to write your CV, or how to write your supporting information, or even the email that you are sending to the professors is also important. Um, I'm not going to go into the details of everything, but I would say that there are a lot of information available in the website, internet now. Like if you just go to YouTube um, and type like a PhD abroad application, or anything on Google, so just search how to make a good supporting information or supporting statement for my PhD applications. You will find a lot of information. So you can just read five of them, five supporting statements, and see what are the things in common among all these five, and you can make your own. You don't have to copy paste stuff from their supporting statements, but use your creativity and make it more suitable for your profile. Same thing with the kind of emails that you are sending as well. Like that format is very important. If you are just sending a professor that, hi, do you have a PhD position? I am applying for a PhD, and you expect a reply for it, it's not going to happen. So do proper background research and improve your knowledge about how to do a proper application. I'm not saying this is important only for a PhD. Anything that you do is very, very good, that very important that you do background research before you proceed to do that exact thing. So you will find a lot of information, as I mentioned, from YouTube, Google, or Twitter, LinkedIn. Even I see sometimes like in LinkedIn, there are people call themselves like a graduate school coach and so on. They will help with your, maybe they will charge some money for that, which is, in my opinion, is not needed. You can do it yourself. I did everything myself for my applications, whether it's PhD, postdoc. But if you feel that you need someone else to look through that, you can ask someone who you know. Like you can ask me, for example. Now you know me, so you can ask someone who did this previously and get their review or suggestions on your materials, or you can choose to pay if you are like comfortable enough to do that and get it reviewed by some professional people, if you think that's more suitable. Um, yeah, and talk to people. Um, Rejections, of course, you will get rejections. You make 10 applications, you might get 9 rejections and one interview call if you're doing it properly. But yeah, choose quality over quantity. You don't have to make 100 applications every day. But if you make 10 applications, 10 quality applications, your interview chances or shortlisting chances are more. And also try spending labs or positions which is more suited to your area of expertise. So if you have like a bachelor degree in biotechnology and you're applying for like a physics or mathematics, it doesn't make sense, right? So yeah, and try to find positions that are more suitable for your profile and experience, and also get your materials reviewed by someone, get help from others. I think that will help you. And don't be demotivated by rejections. Even everyone gets rejections like that. It's not uncommon.
Yeah, I think like the most important part of application is to get rejection. So I agree on that. And then I would like to add one more thing. The most important thing that I have known while applying for my PhD positions, or be it masters, anything, every time we should be very specific. What is our motivation to work in this group or to do this masters? That is very important. That should be really good. That should be able to convince them. So I think that is one of the most important thing that decides our acceptance rate. Yeah, then everything else, like Mahesh has spoken about.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Nitesh, for asking your question. So, I have a quick follow up question to both the panelists. Since you mentioned writing emails to your PIs for PhD positions, what all does the email need to include? What are the details that we should mention whenever we are approaching somebody for a position in their lab?
So I think when we are writing an unsolicited application, or when we are writing an email to a PI personally, like outside of the advertisement, outside of the application, we should be very, very careful that they are not expecting this. We are doing it voluntarily. So we should be very careful that our email should be brief and quick and attractive. So like what I used to do is that I used to give a very short and impressive introduction about me and my objective, and then attach my CV, my motivation letter, and if I have some experience certificate and recommendation letters, everything together as a one single PDF file in the email, and then send it to them. But when we are saying about a proper application for that, we apply for the advertising and advertisement, like for example of IMPRS. So Mahesh will give you more details about it. But in that case, each website will give us what all should be what all should be filled up, or what all they require, what all documents they require. So we shall do as like that.
Yeah, I think the most important thing is that whether that position is advertised or not. If you're sending email to an unadvertised position, that's a bit different. And if you're doing it for a advertised position, first you need to make sure that the application is through email or through an application portal itself. So for IMPRS, mostly the applications are not through email. They are through the application portals where you need to provide information for particular questions that they have in their portals. If you are sending email to an unadvertised position, as Ross mentioned, then yeah, the language is important, and as she told, the content should be brief. It shouldn't be very long. Again, you will find a lot of examples in the internet, but I'll just say even the way you start, I spoke this even in last week's session of NGSF as well. The way you start is also important. Like when you send an email to your HOD or your professor in India, Usually you start like respected sir or respected madam, but that's not the case in Europe or US. You can just address them by name or professor or doctor, and you don't have to respect, right? Respected. Just say dear or hi or hello. Anything is fine. Just keep it very informal but formal. So don't say hi, bro. That's not fair. So you start dear doctor XXS, and I'm writing to inquire about any uh, PhD or postdoc or master degree or position that you may have in your group. I went through your group research website and I'm quite interested in this area and so on. So then you can tell few lines about you. I did my master's or bachelor's in this and that, and during which I did a project in this. I'm looking for opportunities to do research in this area, and also it's very important to mention that if they don't have any open position, you are willing to apply for a fellowship with him or her. If you do not currently have any funding available, I'm also looking forward to do a fellowship application, like a DART fellowship or Marie Curie fellowship, um, for a PhD opportunity in your group. So in that case, they will understand that you are serious about your application. You have done good background research about what kind of work is taking place in their lab, and you are also aware of available funding opportunities like DARD or Marie Curie or Fulbright or whatever for that particular country. If there are any fellowship application, you can mention that as well. So in that case, you have higher chance to get a response. Maybe it's a positive response. Maybe they will at least say, okay, we don't have any space available in the lab right now, but we will get back to you. That too will not happen in 100% of the cases. Maybe 50% you might get a positive response or negative response. You might get a response if it's a well crafted, well researched email that you are sending. I hope that answers your questions, Nishtha.
Yes, thank you so much. We have another request from the audience. We'll move to Furkan, who has requested to speak. You are a speaker now, Furkan. You may ask your question.
Just like you mentioned that you applied at hundreds of places for your master's. So I have completed my bachelor's in biochemistry recently, and I have a few months of research experience as well. So I was wondering that how I should approach for masters, like whether the university route is better or approaching the professors directly through email. And since masters in masters we usually don't find that there are many funding opportunities available, so how should I look around for that? Thanks.
So like actually the application process for me was different when I applied to different countries. So like I used to email to professors with my CV and with my all the required documents to the professors in the US, because in order to get a graduate assistantship in US, we were required to get a permission letter or some recommendation letter from the we should get a guide from the university. So only after that we it makes sense to apply to the university. So when I was applying to US, my first approach was to email to the professors or to the PIs who if they are ready to take me. So as like unlike PhD position, it is very hard to get graduate assistantship for masters. So it was quite hard, but there are like scholarship opportunities, like in Europe there are Erasmus Mundus program, and it is from Polish government. There is Nava Ignasi scholarships. So like you can select, you can apply, you can look at them in the website and then see the deadline. That is very important, to see the deadline and apply way before it, because they will receive thousands of applications, and we should be like well prepared. As Mahesh said, like just Google it, research, do some background research on the application process, and make your CV and motivation letter as clear and crisp and neat as possible, and then do the application for the scholarshiping programs. Yeah,
Okay,
and my when I was applying to the university where I did my masters, it was I applied it through the, I think it was through the DAAD site, DAAD site. So there it was mentioned about. So that was how I applied to the German universities. Yeah.
okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your question and thank you for the responses. Next question of mine is just another quick follow question. How many times should we email a professor in case they are not responding back to our email?
Okay, I have different experiences, so I think it totally depends on the professor. Like if you do not, I have emailed them for a backup, like maybe for second time, and then if they have not responded back even after my second time, then I didn't follow them up. So like I think like they might be busy, so like there can be chance that they didn't see our email, but try always to reply them, to like follow them up once or twice, and like if they are kind enough, or if they are friendly enough, they will reply back. Otherwise, just leave it, try for another professor. That's what I would advise.
Yeah, same opinion here. You can remind them once in a week. You make your first email, then you send your first email, wait for a week or two, see if they're giving any response. If not, try reminding them once again. And if you are still not getting a response, that means they are not interested, or they don't have any funding, or they don't have positions. Could be anything, but the chances are very low that they might reply after you send another third email, fourth email. That's going to spam their inbox, right? Um, Also, you might think like, okay, they are professors, busy professors, successful professors, so they might not read all the emails. That's not true. From my personal experience, if you send an email to someone and if it's going to their inbox, I don't know about spam or other folders, but if it's going to their direct main inbox, they're going to read it. So make your subject line clear that prospective PhD application or like inquiry for PhD position, something like that, so they can at least understand the content of the email from the subject line, so they can choose whether to read or not, depending on the availability in their lab or funding availability or a chance to hire someone new. So they can decide whether to read or not, or to delete or just ignore it. These are options that you have, right? So yeah, just to answer your question, remind them once after 1 week minimum, or maybe within 2 weeks. And if you are still not getting a response, just move on, find something else.
Yes, it does answer my question. Thank you so much. We have Labhesh who would like to ask you questions. Labhesh, you may unmute and speak.
Hello everyone. So my question is, while choosing for master's program abroad, what we should focus on more? Like, should we focus more on the professor and the lab facilities, or should we focus on the university? Thank you. That's what my question is.
I think while applying for the masters, it is best to focus more on the program. Which programs, see the program which you want to enroll in, see the course curriculum, see what all are being taught, what all interests you. That's the most important thing, because you want to pursue a career in that field. So what I feel is that to focus on the course curriculum and what program you want to enroll in, and then see the university, if it is like having good facilities and good ranking, And in the meantime, why if after your enrollment, you can do your thesis with any with whichever professor you want. If you have good professors in your university, you can do your thesis under them. Or if you want to do your thesis in an industry, in a company, you can do like that. So uh, to get a good work experience under a good PI or a good supervisor, that comes afterwards. So first thing is that I think we have to focus on what program and which university, which career you want to pursue.
Thank you so much. We have another request from Aditi who would like to ask a question to both of you. Aditi, you may speak now.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
So, as you mentioned about mailing the applications and the CVs, how should an ideal CV look like? Like, should we focus more on some specific areas than others, or like what?
Okay, so uh, when you're preparing your CV, in my experience, what I have learned is that our CV should be specific to the applications. Yes, we have like general things, our education, our experience, it's all general, but always remember to edit and highlight your CV in certain points that will be attractive or like catchy to the uh, supervisor or professor we are sending them to. So like if I have experience in both plant breeding and entomology, and I am like sending a professor working in entomology, so I have to uh, focus and highlight more on entomology, not on plant breeding. And CV should be, in my experience at least, CV should be attractive, like should not be dull or should not be gray. It should be attractive, but should explain everything in short and crisp wordings, not very long. I don't think it make big sense to exceed your CV more than 3 or 4 pages, because yeah, you will definitely you will have like lots of experiences and qualifications, but be specific to what you're applying to. So that's what I would suggest. I think like Mahesh can add some points to it.
And yeah, same thing. So since Aditi, I think is doing a master's or bachelor's, I don't know. Uh, oh, anyway, it shouldn't be more than. Go on, go on. What are you doing?
I'm actually doing a master's in biotechnology right now.
Okay, yeah. So master's. So your CV can be 1.5 or maximum 2 pages, and all the common things like education experience, if you have internships or if you have publications, posters, conferences, this should be included, but try to stay away from clutters. Like you don't need to put your home address on your CV. That's not required. And you don't need to put your hobbies like cooking, cricket, and baseball, whatever. That's not needed. If you're writing a hobby, make it relevant to the position that you are in. So, like current affairs or chess is more suitable for a CV than playing, uh, dancing, or singing. So something like that, right? To make it more professional, and academic CVs mostly are quite different from industrial CVs. So industrial CV they need it like a bit colorful and more polished, while the academic CV just could be black and white, you and some bold letters and some not bold letters. So my CV still it still has only two colors, white paper and black color, but headings are bold and the others are not bold. That's all. So you don't need to work a lot on the design. And as your question was how an ideal CV looks like, there is nothing called an ideal CV. You can just put as you want it and as you feel it's more comfortable for you and comfortable for people reading it. Um, yeah, and try to keep it short as we both told before. And you will find a lot of, again, internet has everything. So you can just browse through 5 or 10 or 15 or 20, how many is available CVs online for PhDs or masters. and see what's common in all the CVs that you are going through. And for PhD applications, I would say the things that you shouldn't miss out is your master qualification, as well as if you have done any research or a project work during your masters or any internship either abroad or in a different institute in India or in an industry. These things will add value to your CV or application for a PhD position. Uh, Other than that, yeah, even some applications they don't ask to upload you a CV. They just ask you particular questions that please enter the qualifications that you have in these boxes, and sometimes there will be a box to write your personal statement and supporting statement of purpose. So you might not need to even upload a CV for some applications. So the content inside the CV is more relevant than just the colors in it or the design of it, um, like that. Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you, Aditi. With this, we come to the end of our first section, which was Why Choose Germany. And the next section is, I think, the most anticipated one, the scholarships and the funding part. So, my first question in the section would be, what are the funding opportunities, especially scholarships that are available? What is their eligibility, and how do we as students apply for it?
Okay, I think for most of the PhD positions, there will be funding and it will be mentioned in the website. But taking the cases of master courses, it's not that easy to find the funding opportunities. But like as I mentioned before, there are scholarship programs like Erasmus Mundus, Nava Ignasi, and also DAT scholarships are there. So you can always find scholarship opportunities. And as myself, I have not done my master's with a scholarship, so I do not know if I cannot say that from my personal experience. But I'm saying this from the experiences of my colleagues and friends who have got the scholarships in master programs. So what they told me was that one of the criteria in selection of the scholarship was to have a good grade for the bachelor's. That was one of the screening factors. And next one comes the motivation letter. If a motivation letter is good enough, with enriched with research experience and conferences or internships, then that's again a good point. And again, it comes to like in case of Europe, language is not a English proficiency test. It's not a big thing in comparison to other English speaking countries, but still, if you have like a English proficiency test score there, then it's also a tiebreaker. So that's what I can say in terms of like scholarship opportunities in master's programs. Also, I have the same experience in while applying to US. Also, if we have like a good profile with good research experience and internship working experience and good theoretical knowledge, I mean grades, so we can if we try harder, we can manage to get a graduate assistantship from US universities in US. Yeah, so I think maybe Mahesh can add something to it.
Yeah, about the funding opportunities, it depends on the country which you are planning to and whether it's a master program or PhD program. Um, Master program, mostly you have difficulty finding fundings. But the good thing about Germany is that you don't have any tuition fees in Germany. So the course is completely free, most of the courses. But some English taught programs, I think they have some kind of tuition fee. Not sure about that. But still, most of the master degree courses um, are there are no tuition fees, and you will also get a lot of discounts being a student in Germany. You have like there is no there is some kind of transportation fee, but it's very cheap compared to other people, other working people. It's very cheap, and students get discounts in almost everything in Germany. So you might not have to spend as much as you spend doing a master's in US or UK. You just need to spend a fraction of that, and on top of that, you might find part-time jobs if you are willing to do so. And you might also get an opportunity in the university that you are working to be like a project assistant in a project in a lab that you are doing your master's in. So once you go there and get settled there, you might find opportunities to earn some extra income and support yourself. Um, and even if you choose to do part-time job, the money that you spent or showed in your bank account to come to a master's in Germany will be uh, left untouched if you are doing a part-time job in Germany. Yeah, you can support yourself without using that money from your other sources like parents. Um, Coming to PhD positions again in Germany, most of the PhDs are funded themselves. So the advertised PhD positions, they have money coming with the advertisement. So they will say like, we need a PhD student with expertise in this and that, and it will be funded like a 75 percentage or 65 percentage of the current salary for master graduates. There will be a level of salary that you will be getting. But even if it's 65 or 75, I'm saying that that's more than enough for you to live and work in Germany as well as to save some money. Or if you have some other responsibilities, you can also do that with that kind of money that you are getting as a PhD student in Germany. So the most common fellowship, if you are not able to find a funded PhD position, the most common thing that people go for is the DIAD, that fellowship. That's competitive, but if you have good CV and good proposal and references and other materials. So again, everything comes down to your profile. Um, just to follow up that answer, I would say that um, if you are planning to do a PhD in Germany, reflect yourself, like whether you have enough to compete with other people from around the world. Whether I have a good, at least a project research experience in a lab in India or some internship in an industry. That's sufficient, or that's the minimum that is expected from a student who is applying for a PhD in Germany, because the duration is only 3 or 4 years, so they don't have enough time to train you on lab techniques, basic lab techniques. They will train you on things that is needed for that particular project, but they don't have time to train you for some common thing that's expected with the person, the profile of that person. So if you feel that, okay, I don't have that thing, then try to make it somehow like NGSF funding. We are funding internships for some people every year. So use that kind of opportunities to build your CV, make your CV attractive, get some research experience. Or if you are in bachelor's, you can decide whether, if I'm not going to get into a university or a program which is recognized, or IITs or NIPERS or ICERS, all these institutions, they have good visibility. Not just this one, there are other institutions as well. This is just to name a few. So if you feel that, okay, if I'm not planning to do my master's in that thing, maybe you can choose to do a master's abroad in Germany itself. So as Rose found a PhD immediately after her master's, you have better opportunity to get a PhD position if you do a master's in Germany itself. So just plan your career in advance, at least 2 or 3 years in advance, depending on where you are now. So if you are a master's student, just finish your master's without any experience, find a project assistant position for a year in a national lab or somewhere. I'm sure there are positions getting advertised, or if you have opportunity to fund yourself for that kind of experience, that's also useful because that will help you with your future. So it's not a problem spending some money for boosting your CV because you are lacking in that aspect. So you are not competitive enough with other people who are applying for the same position. So everything comes down to your application. Um, other funding opportunities in Germany is limited, but there are Marie Curie PhD funding. So Marie Curie is one of the highest rated funding opportunity and is very competitive. But once you get that fellowship, you are going to earn more than all other PhDs in Germany or in Europe. That gives you a lot of money and a lot of recognition as well for the future. If you say that I am a Marie Curie fellow, that's going to help you with your postdoc or industry job or any application because they know that it's very competitive and very only quality applicants can get through it. But the Marie Curie also has another provision where the project is funded, so you don't have to apply for a fellowship yourself. The project itself is funded for the faculty, and they just need someone to come and work as a Marie Curie fellow in that position. That's a bit more easier because you don't have to write a proposal or something. You just need to apply to the institute or professor, and they will take an interview and hire you. But eventually, you will get a recognition as a Marie Curie fellow. So there are people like that. I have a friend who is doing her PhD in Vienna, Austria. She is a Marie Curie fellow, but she never applied for Marie Curie fellowship. The fund position itself came as a funded position. Um, then I don't know if there are any other funding fellowship as such. In UK, there are and Chevening fellowships for masters and Newton fellowships for PhDs and postdocs. Um, Yeah, I think the fellowships options are quite limited because in Europe most of the PhD positions comes as funded positions. But try to find there should be information about the databases, PhD data funding fellowship databases. Yeah, that PhD database is for PhD position. That fellowship database will give you options about what kind of fellowships are available for a PhD in particular field. I think that's all I know so far.
Thank you so much, sir. That is a lot of information, and that pretty much answers all the questions in the section. Does anybody from the audience have any question related to this particular section on scholarships and funding? If not, then we'll be moving on to our next section, which is based on the application process. So my first question in the section is how to draft a good SOP.
I would say SOP writing in my experience. So I started with an introductory. I give my name and my address at the top, and then give a title like the objective, and then I start with an introduction, like how well I did my schooling and my how it led to my bachelor's, and then okay, now I'm talking about my master's application, master's motivational letter. So like I started with an introduction uh, with how what motivated me from childhood, which led me to take the bachelor's in agriculture. That was my first paragraph, and then second paragraph was it like what all course curriculum I did and which all interested me, what all I did extra to achieve more, how good I was in this particular stream. I mentioned everything like that, and then my third paragraph was mentioning about my experiences, my job experience, my research experience, my publications, etc. in the third paragraph, which is like likely after my bachelor's. And then in the last paragraph, I mentioned why I am motivated, why I am motivated to apply for this master's, why this program, and and then I also like mentioned if I know some project from the university, or if I find some courses from the course curriculum or something like that. I mentioned something catchy in the last paragraph uh, to to show them how interested I am in the applications. And coming to my PhD application, likewise, I just give a brief introduction on myself and what my background is, and then a more detailed explanation on what I did for my master thesis, which is like the work experience that I have got, and also then besides that, if I have got any other experience, like for example, I was working for 1 year in a lab after my master thesis. So I had mentioned what all I had done in the lab after my master thesis in the third paragraph. In the fourth paragraph, I mentioned why I am motivated to apply into this particular PhD position. The highlight was the motivation. Why? I think like even if your application gets accepted for the interview, the first question they ask you is why. Why did you apply for this position? What do they get if they hire us? That is like very crucial question. So I think you have to mention it very clearly in your motivation letter. Yeah, so and then there is a flow from the first paragraph to the fourth paragraph, such that it all binds together, and like it goes as if it ends in this answer. Yeah, this person should be hired. Yeah, so that's my answer.
About the statement of purpose, with the current uh, emergence of artificial intelligence, I just want to say that don't just put a chat GPT copy paste stuff in your supporting information, because we are all familiar with it. You might think, okay, you are the only person who uses it, but it's not true. Everyone is using it, and everyone knows what kind of words most of the AI tools use, or what kind of structure that they follow to make a sentence. So this is like a free advice that you can use them. You can use them, but have some logic. Whether are you using it to make the whole statement of purpose for yourself, or are you just using it as a help to modify or make it better, your application, to make your statement of purpose look better? So have that logic when you use AI tools. Uh, Other than that, just another point is that don't make it more than one page. If it's 2 pages, 3 pages, nobody's going to read all of it. No professors or even postdocs or PhDs, they don't have time to read. If someone is asking their students to review application material, when they see 3 page supporting information, supporting statement, they are not going to read it. So keep it one page, short and crisp. Um, then I think I answered this question in one of my first answers itself, that you will find a lot of examples. Get 5 of them or 10 of them, compare, see what kind of structure all of them follow and what's common in it, and then use your logic and craft one for yourself. Then get it reviewed by someone who has more experience than you. That's very important. Like, you might think that, okay, this is the perfect supporting statement that is going to give me the job or PhD position. But when you ask someone else to read it, they will tell their viewpoint on that. And they might not always be correct. Then you can decide whether you want to make that change or not. That's up to you. But you can at least get some output, opinion on that, on your material. Um, yeah, just make it one page, as I told before as well. Then another pro tip is that if you if you can do something to make it unique from other hundreds of applications that you are getting. Um, I'm not saying it's unique now because I have shared my SOP with a lot of at least 100 people so far. So when I did my PhD application, I started it with a code, and I still believe that it had an impact. I started like a quote from Louis Pasteur or someone, and just said that science knows no country because knowledge belongs to humanity. And that's why, as an Indian master student, I'm applying for a position in Germany because I think science is global. So that time, maybe when they got 100 applications, 10 of them had a unique statement of purpose. Maybe not, I don't know. It's just my belief that that helped me someone someone help someone to push someone to read my SOP in full. So if you have some kind of creative ideas like that to make it look unique from other hundreds of applications that they are getting, do it. It could be anything. It could be a quote, or if you have done like a bioinformatics, for example, and if you have enough space to include a protein structure in your SOP, when you speak about your um, previous research, something unique that you have figured out in during your research, or something like that. Make something unique in that whole document so that that's going to stay in their mind. Okay, or this is the guy or girl who has done this thing, or this is the guy who approached me like that. So that's a tip. I don't know. Don't ask me what it is for everyone. It could be anything for anyone. So just think about it when you finish making your supporting statement. Think about it. Is it unique? Does it has anything different from all other applications that you are getting? Other than that, the contents mostly are similar, and I think Rose already covered those topics. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. My next question to both of you is what are the German language requirements? And are there any other exams that one needs to give for the application process?
So basically, I would give you a brief introduction on the education system in Germany. Here in Germany, most of the bachelor courses are in German. There are a few bachelor courses in English, but they are the paid ones. So if you want to study tuition free, without tuition free, then you will have to learn German up to B2. Also, this is applicable to master courses. If you want to do master courses in German, you will have to get a B2 degree, B2 German certificate to learn the course. And if you are into the medical field, uh, if not for your education but for your career, you will require a C1 or a C2 certificate. But other than that, there are options of doing masters in English. Likewise, I did my masters in agrigenomics, and that's a completely international course, which is like in English, which is taught in English. There are also many courses, many English taught courses in Germany, in all over Germany, but it's not as, it's not very, it's not so much. It's less in number, but still it's in English, and it's really, most of them are good courses. And there are no requirements of German language for PhD, because you will be working in academia, you will be working in a university. So in most cases, they won't be asking you for a German language certificate for getting PhD, for being recruited into PhD. If you want to work in the industry, then yeah, definitely you need a German language certificate, and it will be B1, B2, or C2 according to their requirement. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much for answering the question. My next question and the last question for this section is did you face any challenges during filling out your application form, and how did you overcome them?
Sorry, Nishtha, I just couldn't hear that question. Could you repeat, please?
Yes, sure. So my question was, did you face any challenges while you were filling out your application form, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, it's all. I think the answer for that question is the things that we discussed so far. So we need to write supporting statements or questions which are like have you had an experience in solving a conflict of interest so far, and that kind of questions. In Indian system, we don't have that questions unless you go for a private job interview or something like that. So you might have problems when answering those kind of questions, and that's why I told you need to get help from other people. You get a second opinion whether is this the right way. Other than that, I don't know. I don't know. All the certificates and stuff. I had an issue. I had a confusion whether my mark list are like counting as a transcript or not, because in many places they ask for a transcript, and my mark list was basically not a transcript. And I was a bit like skeptical whether if I upload my mark list instead of a transcript, would it be get rejected because of that or so. But it didn't happen. I didn't make a transcript itself, but I uploaded my mark list, which had information about the courses I did and how many marks were I scored and which years and how many hours in that. So my university luckily had a very detailed mark list, and it counted as a transcript for the German application. Yeah, other than that, I can't recollect any challenge I faced with my application.
Thank you for answering the question. So that will be the end of our section 3 about the application process. Now we'll move on to the last section for the session today, which is Germany as a city. So, how is the job market in Germany, and what are the options that are available after one finishes their master's or PhD?
I will. If do you mind if I go first, Rose?
Yeah, yeah, sure, sure. Go on.
Yeah. Okay. Regarding the job market, it entirely depends on what your future plans are. So basically, personally, I wanted to pursue a career in academia and research. So I was sure during my PhD itself that actually during my master's, I was sure that I want to do a PhD. Then after PhD, during PhD, I was sure that I want to do a postdoc. So my focus was solely on that area. So I'm not sure about industrial opportunities that you might have. Also, it depends on the area that you are doing your research or studies in. Um, Academia, if you have a focus on academia, Germany has a lot of options, a lot of funding opportunities, and a lot of advertisements coming out every single day regarding postdocs or temporary group leader positions and so on. So you will not struggle to find a postdoc position after. But I have some friends who switched from PhD, like academic research to industry. Some some are like working as consultants for different companies. Um, and one guy, he did his PhD in bio uh, bioinformatics, structural biology and bioinformatics. But now he's working for a vegan meat-based food industrial company. So you have option to switch from one area to other, and depending on your skills that you have and the interviews and so on. But if you have planned to pursue a career in academia, you will not be struggling to find a postdoc or temporary research position after. You might find an permanent academic position after in Germany because of the limitations of language, because the undergraduate studies mostly are in German. So if you are not German, you might find it hard to find a permanent academic position in Germany. But if you just want to do a postdoc, then it's not a problem. I personally moved to the UK from Germany because I think I didn't have the energy or motivation to do B2 German skills, B2 certifications in German language. And I felt it's more comfortable living in the UK because we have better or larger Indian community and availability of Indian stuff. Like even a normal supermarket in the UK will have, you can buy chapati, for example, but in Germany you need to exclusively go for a Asian supermarket to get anything that's suitable for our culture and our traditions. So I think for the lifestyle and the comfort and the other preferences, for example, if you have a partner who has a uh, different aspiration than you, so you might need to adjust on that things as well. But yeah, my short answer is academia, short academic positions you can find easily in Germany, and industry positions. Yes, you can find a bit more challenging than finding postdoc positions or temporary academic positions. Uh, and you might require some language skills when you work for a consultant company or a, public involvement, including companies. Uh, yeah.
Yeah, I would like to add, throw some light on the industrial sector. Here in Germany, for industrial sector, they definitely require German. Um, the only in IT industry, like for the initial recruitment, they do not specifically ask for German, but definitely in order to grow your career, you definitely need German. So like German language is like definitely one of the most important things, and then most of the companies or firms will be like in they require like they also ask us for the German license, driving license. That's not in most all cases, but in at least in my field, it is the case. So these both they are the most important requirements to get a job in the industrial sector. Yeah, so I would just like to get you information about it. That's it. Yeah.
Thank you so much for answering the question. Since there are no more questions from the audience, I think we'll be winding up our session for today. I would really like to take a moment and appreciate both of our panelists for taking out time from their busy schedules to answer our queries. And I also thank our audience for making this session so interactive and actively participating in it. So, with this, I would like to just wind up the session. See you all in the next session. Thank you so much.
See you and well organized session as well, Nishtha. Thanks for that as well.
Thank you, sir.
Mm.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.